This is Mr. Impact Wrestling himself, Moose, and you're listening to the Irish Whip.
Hookers? Hookers and Coke?
Hookers and Coke, man.
You're the only pro wrestler I know that wants to do this shit in the morning.
Yeti, you're a f***ing moron.
Put it this way, I think Sami Callihan might as well just change his name to Invader
I
Warner.
want to know why. Like, he can dodge any question. Like, I'll tell anyone that. You can tell me but I'm going to ask specific questions.
Promotional consideration paid for by the following.
WrestlingNewsSource.com. For all the rest of you yahoos who are out there dilly-dillying you little wankers, we're actually receiving real wrestling news.
This is
Brett screwed Brett.
Who are you to doubt El Dandy? Because this guy's a serious professional.
Brett screwed Brett.
Hold two! Arm bar!
Hey, get a nice shot of the brand new Mr. and Mrs. Hunter Hearst Helmsley.
I hate you. I hate you. I hate your hat. I hate your t-shirts. I hate your wristbands. I hate your shoes. I hate your music. I hate the C Nation. I hate everything that you stand for.
Sodas rule.
Yeah, they do.
What's up, TIW Mafia? JP here. Got Josh with us. And we got another special guest this week. The galaxy's most talented alien?
The galaxy's greatest.
Galaxy greatest alien.
I even
and most
said that
talented.
I even told you before we came on, JP. That's so embarrassing.
Kris Statlander.
Okay. It's all right.
Kris.
I'll remember this.
Kris, how's it going tonight?
It's wonderful.
Now,
So great to be alive, you know.
that's it.
The Area 1 raid is over. We made it.
You survived.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't there, but
No, but I'm sure you had some friends on the inside.
yeah, I haven't heard anything from them. I don't know if they got out or not, but I didn't go back because I was a prisoner there. So don't tell anyone.
Well, I mean, you get so much press lately. It's kind of hard for people not to be able to find you.
Yeah. Well, just pretend like we don't know. Like no one knows who I am.
I gotcha. Now you wrestled on a beach the other day.
Last night actually.
In September in New England on a beach. Is Beyond Wrestling crazy?
It was actually hot. Like we all got sunburned.
I'm up in Boston myself, and like it's 90 degrees. It was a beach day today. It's insane weather right now, but that's
Yeah.
now. What's it like wrestling? Companies like Beyond that get so much attention, and you're a huge part of all of that. What's it like being a part of that?
It's just a lot of fun. It becomes a family at that point because I'm there so often, and there's a lot of similar faces that continue to come back, and then there's a lot of new faces you always meet. So it's always like a cool, growing family in a way. It's always one of my favorite places to be at. And
I mean, you also just did chaotic wrestling too, right?
that is correct. I did that on Friday.
Was that your first time with chaotic?
No, I've been there quite a few times actually. I think that was like my 6th time there.
Okay. You talk about like, I always say like, because like I said, I'm up in Boston. The New England Pro Wrestling Academy, which is affiliated with Chaotic, I always say is one of the top schools in New England. And you can't talk about the top schools in New England without talking about Creative Pro. And
Correct.
you were the first female graduate of Creative Pro Wrestling.
That is correct.
With Pat Buck and Kurt Hawkins.
Yeah, Pat Buck and Kurt Hawkins are my head trainers. There's actually technically 2 Creative Pro schools. One is in New York and one is in New Jersey. But I'm actually the first out of both schools to like complete the training. So
I never knew that. I never knew there was. I of course, know who Creative Pro was and the whole history that they have.
Technically, it's Wrestle Pro, but they're joint.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You've also done some stuff in CZW, right?
Oh, of course.
Where is that?
CZW and the Dojo Wars. That was earlier on in 18, right?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
I've done a lot of WSU lately. I was I'm formerly their spirit champion. So yeah, I've been there many a time.
Now, how long ago did you actually start training?
I started training in March of 2016, so like 3 years ago.
Now, what I think is fascinating, when did you become a fan of professional wrestling?
I have no idea. So how I got into wrestling, or I had no idea where my okay. So my human father, he's been a huge fan of wrestling, like his entire life. He like showed it to me a few times because I was a gymnast, so he would show me like Rey Mysterio, and I'd be like, "Great, Dad, we do flips, cool," but I didn't ever watch it. So eventually, blah blah. Later in life, I started training to be a stunt double, and then I had a friend who was a wrestler, and then they were like, "Oh, well, let's just bring you in as like a manager or something," and then that's kind of how I got involved in it. So I was a manager for 2 years before I actually started training. But the only wrestling I ever watched in those 2 years was the matches that I was like involved in. So
that's insane, because you hear about all these people that were lifelong fans, and it goes on, and they've studied wrestling, and their training brings them to the point you're at now. You're so talented. Like, I love when wrestling kind of revolves around the person's personality and character, if you will. And that's so much you, but then mixed with the talent. It's just incredible, the mesh you have. And it will be a damn shame if in 2019 doesn't become your year by the end of the year. If it's not, then 2020 is going to be.
Yeah.
Well, I think that the coolest thing for me, JP, is like Kris hit on the biggest thing for me is the amount of gymnasts that we're starting to see in pro wrestling. I mean, between Sadie Gibbs and Kris Statlander that's here with us. I mean, even going as far as Dana Brooke up in the WWE, it's, man, the gymnastics side of that and the ability to carry that into the ring is, I think that's one of the most influential parts so far of pro wrestling as a whole. Not just everybody likes to break up male and female, but just as pro wrestling as a whole, I think that's elevated the game.
Yeah, gymnastics training is like literally the most painful, most intense thing you will ever see in your life. Like the amount of like work that you have to put in to get to a top level, and they always want you to start off like really young because it's a lot easier to do gymnastics when you're small, and the harder and more intense you go, you kind of like stunt your growth in a way, which I know this sounds like insane, but this is true. It's like the harder you work when you're smaller and younger, the more delayed you go through puberty. So you stay smaller for a longer time, and that's why you see like so many little tiny people that are just like jacked out of their minds. And everyone is so tiny who's a gymnast, like Casey Catanzaro.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was a gymnast too. I mean, I'm sure she's probably always was going to be that small too, but like tiny people like that are a lot better at gymnastics, and it's a lot easier to move around and to be able to perform all like the aerodynamic moves and everything. So yeah, gymnastics training is so intense. It's like you go back and you look at like what you went through and you're like, oh my God, why did I do that?
Yeah, my niece is like 10 years old, and she made the decision because she was spending like you're looking at 3 hours on a daily basis during the summer. That's nothing though for a gymnast. Like 3 hours a day is nothing, right?
Yeah. I personally, I think I went to training like 4 days a week, and it was about 4 hours a day. And during like the high school, like the school gymnastics also, I joined my high school's varsity team when I was in 7th grade. So I was doing like double duty for 6 years.
Now, that's more, and that was obviously, time-wise, that's more intense than pro wrestling training.
Absolutely. I was going to say, JP, yeah.
Physically as well?
Oh, yeah. because on in like school gymnastics, one, we have to set up all the equipment and everything, and also the floor is just a wrestling mat. It's not a spring floor like it is in like regular side club gymnastics. So it's very intense. But there's no protection in gymnastics. There's no knee pads. There's no shoes. There's no elbow pads. There's no padding at all. It's just you in a leotard, and you're just throwing your body at inanimate objects, basically.
That's a good way of putting it.
I mean, is it when you're in the ring, when you're in the ring, and I don't want to beat a dead horse, but comparatively, when you get in there and you run the ropes and you do what you do as far as the training in the ring and the training in gymnastics, it's not. I mean, the gymnastics training, is it comparable or not?
It's two totally different things, honestly. But because I didn't know anything about wrestling, it's not like I went in there with any expectations. It was just like, okay, this is something new that I'm going to try. So whatever happens, this is just what it is. So it's not like I was like, oh my God, this is going to be possible. I had no idea what I was doing. So,
but do you think you took to it a little bit better? Do you feel like you took to it a little bit better because of your gymnastics training, the flips and that type of thing, plus just the whole coaching aspect of it?
Absolutely, yeah. And also my stunt double training too. Like a lot of times you learn roles in like very early on in your wrestling training. So I already knew how to do like every single role, and then like any sort of thing that they needed me to do, I had it spot on because that was the other stuff I learned, and I know how to control my body doing weird things anyway. So a lot of things in wrestling were a lot easier for me to pick up because of the amount of pain and destruction I put my body throughout the years.
Now, did you actually did you do any stunt work?
I've done, so to get into stunt work, you have to be a part of the SAG-AFTRA union, which it's very expensive to join. So I haven't done it yet, but I have done some nonsense things where I did a prank show for MTV one time. There's a thing on Amazon IMDb where I taught Jerry O'Connell how to rappel. So,
really?
Nice. Cool thing. Yeah.
That is pretty damn cool. That's something that one person in the world can say they ever did, and you happen to be from out of the world.
I think that's the world's greatest alien teaching a superhero how to rappel, right?
I should be. I should.
No.
I have to teach everybody how to rappel.
How did you, like, when you started pro wrestling, I'm assuming you didn't just tell everybody, hey, I'm an alien. How did that come about?
No.
How did you open yourself up to that?
So once I started like getting decent at wrestling, I didn't know what I was doing or who I was or anything, and it I wanted it to have a character, but I didn't know what to do. And everyone's like, you don't need a character. You're a really good women's wrestler. That should just be what you are. And I'm like, but that's boring. Like that's every single girl though. So, they always say like the people who are like 10 times themselves are usually the most that you could connect with. And I'm a weirdo, and I don't know. That's just who I am. So in a weird way, it is kind of like me just playing up myself. As strange as it sounds, I'm such like a strange, unique. I don't know. Yeah, it's me. It's a weird way of saying it's me.
You're outlandish in a good. I mean, to me, and this just because I'm older, and I think it's really a generational thing where, like the exposure, the media. I dislike the word normal and I dislike the word weird. But to say, to say that you are setting a standard to let even my nieces, like just young women, to be individuals and accept that it's okay to not be like everybody else, I think that's one of the coolest things about this, not just on TV and not just on the internet, but as a whole. Younger generations like yourselves just willing to do that and put yourself out there makes it a lot easier for the younger generation to accept that. So I think that's pretty cool, Kris. And I want you to know that me, as a fan, appreciate that, and I think the younger generation does more than you can imagine right now.
Well, I hope so, because there's no way I'm ever going to be just like a typical boring person, because I don't know how to do that, because like I said,
no.
Sorry, I just got home and my sister was just yelling at me. She doesn't realize that I'm on a podcast.
With the Irish Whip airing out family issues live. Not live.
Yeah, god damn. Can't get some alone time on my spaceship anymore. Jeez.
No
now my
respect.
dog is running at me. Oh boy.
Josh, you might
All
not
right.
have seen this. Did you see the first round match announced for King of Trios at Chikara?
Oh, what my matches? Oh, I know.
Oh yeah.
I know.
No.
I'm very well
So,
aware of. I saw that and I was just like, what am I doing? What's happening?
It's the
I was
Papa
so
Pump
confused.
family. So Jordan Grace, Big Papa Pump, and Little Petey Pump
Yeah.
versus
Nerder Death Chris.
No, is that what the NDK is going to stand for in this? NDK
Absolutely.
Kris Statlander.
Oh my God,
That's the
dude. Are
first
you
round
serious?
match. I put it out on. I did it on Twitter, and I said you got two legends, an alien, the Steiners, and Jordan Grace.
That is insane. Like that only happens in Chris. Chikara is a pretty cool thing. Like it's defined us as pro wrestling fans, I think.
Yeah.
And it's what is King of Trios? Because JP's bringing it up. What's it mean to you to be part of a King of Trios where you've seen? I mean, Jackson Boys. I mean, you've seen the Sendai Girls. We've seen Mustache Mountain Boy. I mean, everybody that's anybody seems like they've gone to King of Trios. I mean, Shaza McKenzie made her first appearance last year. That was pretty cool. That was a highlight. So, well, I mean, what's it mean for you not only being an alien, but to be in the King of Trios as part of NDK? That's cool.
I mean, it's super awesome, and I'm super honored. And, I wish I knew those things that you had just mentioned, but like I have also, since I don't know anything about wrestling, and I feel so terrible about it. But I wish I did, and it's really cool that I get to be a part of something that's so big. But yeah, like I said, I wish I understood like the
I don't
amount
think you should feel bad about it at all, because honestly, it gives people a really new perspective rather than just beating the old shit to death. It's really, I wouldn't ever apologize for not knowing the history of pro wrestling, ever. Just because you're as talented as you are, as the alien that you are. I would never apologize for not knowing that history, because when you're able to be part of it, you don't really have to know it. That's just my opinion, though.
No, I agree.
Anytime someone asks, I'm going to say, well, the boys at the Irish Whip podcast told me.
That's right.
To not apologize. So screw you.
Please do. Now, that being said, do you go back and watch old wrestling, or do you follow the new stuff now?
I try to keep up with what's going on now, just because it's the world I'm in, and I should know what's going on around me. Even though most of the time I don't, I try to watch old matches, but I can't do it sometimes. I don't know. I'm terrible. I need to watch more wrestling, and I just don't. I can never get around to it.
Like women's wrestling, and I know you're a great wrestler. You're not a great women wrestler. You're a great wrestler, period. But women's wrestling has evolved so much over the past 30 years, but really in the last 20 years, it's evolved so much. And I would love to revisit this in a couple of months with you and see if you've watched a couple old matches and what you think of what was happening then compared to what's happening now in women's wrestling in particular.
Yeah, if I ever have gone back and watched stuff, honestly, it's never been a women's match.
And that shows.
You know what? I think Kris is the perfect student. Like, WrestlePro just plucked her out, said nothing exists but us, and this is how you do it. She's like the perfect student, right, JP?
Oh yeah, because it's you can take
There's
somebody.
No preconceptions, no nothing. It's just a blank slate.
You can take somebody that understands math and try to teach them this new math, that's fucking going on now. I'm pretty good at old math. I can't do this new math. And I think it's the same thing. Like, if you had studied wrestling before, the way wrestling is now might not have come so easy to you.
Yeah, that might be why. It might be for the best that I know absolutely nothing. I still feel like I know nothing. I had no idea what I'm doing, ever.
No. When promoters like book you and stuff, do they ever say, "Hey, I want something similar to this"? And you're like, "Yeah, sure," and then just go out and do what you do anyway?
So usually if stuff like that happens, sometimes like people be like, "Oh, can we do this like I don't know." Or like, okay, well, here's an example. Like my trainer, Pat Buck, he'll always be like, "Oh, we're gonna go over like the Tiger Mask Dynamite Kid spot," and now I know what it is because he told me. But you know, if I didn't know what it was and you said that to me, trying to like figure something out, I'd be like, "You need to walk me through this because I have no idea who either of those people are." Which is again,
that is so cool. Like this is so cool. Like this is the coolest thing. We've never been able, JP. We've never in the decade that we've done this been able to do this. Where it's like she literally doesn't know, and that's the coolest part of this.
You should do your own podcast, Chris, where you watch old wrestling for the first time.
Where she tortures herself for old wrestling.
I have on my podcast, I should have it just be people submitting wrestling history questions and me saying, "I don't know," next.
Well, no, like if you could do it so that you watch like WrestleMania 3 and then you do a reaction to it. Like do a different one each week. Maybe just you only got to take 15 minutes and really do the main event. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And just react to that for a half hour. I think that would be, you take somebody that's in wrestling, and your independent wrestling is the biggest it's been in a long time right now. And you're a huge part of that in the Northeast, which to me is probably the biggest territory out there right now. And you're a huge part of all of the major promotions that are up here. So you could get that following and then like, "Hey, listen, I was never really a wrestling fan. I am now. I love what I'm doing. But I'm going to watch these old matches I never saw before that everyone tells me is great. And I'm going to react to them. And just give a very raw opinion on them."
Oh.
She doesn't have the time.
I'm not going to do that. People are going to be mad.
Well, mad, you know, controversy equals cash, right?
No. I don't know.
So, does it make it easier for you when you're in the locker room with legends?
I guess so. I've never been starstruck in wrestling. I mean, if I've like heard of someone and you see them, you're like, "Oh, that's them. That's cool." But then it's just like, you know, we're all wrestlers.
Yeah. You're at that particular day. You're all your peers.
Yeah. You
Now,
know, sometimes it's hard because like sometimes I don't know who people are and I feel bad that I feel like I have to show like obviously like if you see legends like there's a respect level and they're like that they deserve because they've been doing this for how long and they've given their bodies to this and have done so much for the business. But I feel bad when I don't know who they are and I feel like I can't give them the respect that they deserve. But at the same time, I also don't like totally freak out like, "Oh my God, it's this person." So I guess it's like a two-way street.
Now you got a pretty big commute tonight for a show.
That is correct.
You're going over to the UK?
Yep, first time overseas.
That's awesome. That's a huge thing in wrestling to be able to travel like that.
Yeah, I'm super excited.
What's your tour? I mean, how long are you going to be over there, and what is your tour going to consist of?
So, I fly out tonight, which is a Monday night at 10 p.m. I get in around, I think, like 9:30ish their time in the morning. The show is Tuesday night at 7:30 p.m. I go back to my hotel. I wake up, and it's Wednesday morning at 10:35 a.m. I'm at the airport flying home.
Wow.
Wow. So they're,
I'm
I mean, this
just
is legit. They're bringing you over for one show, and that's legit right there. Like no tour, no nothing. You're doing a show and you're coming home. That's pretty big right there.
Yeah, they were gonna try and get me more shows for the whole weekend, but I had other previous bookings, and I like to honor bookings that I've already made. So
Very professional, and that's the way to.
Absolutely.
That is absolutely the way
Yeah.
to conduct yourself.
yeah, I felt that. I was like, I hope you don't mind wasting your money on me for a day. Like, I wish I could stay for the whole week and like do more shows over here, but they were like super. They were like, yeah, no, that's totally fine. I was like, okay. All right.
I think
that's
I
too
think
much.
I think people are starting to see like what we see. Like I appreciate the fact that certain, there's no starstruck. There's no, and I don't think you should be. Again, I don't think you should be apologetic for not knowing the history of somebody that walks in that locker room, because I don't think it's a state of. It's not something that's taught in school. It's one of those things that if you're a pro wrestling fan, you're usually pretty into it, and you've taken a totally different avenue and approach. And I don't ever think that I don't ever think you should apologize or be apologetic for it. And I think I dislike the word gimmick, but I really think that it works into who you really are as far as being the alien that you are, because it's the honest truth. And I think the truth just breaks down that barrier and makes it even more raw and real, because if it's real, it goes over more than anything else. And I think it's cool as hell.
Absolutely, I agree. Thank you.
JP, I mean, this is new for us, JP. Like usually, we've got somebody on here that is. I mean, this is totally new. Like, am I off base when I'm saying this? Like, am I at all? Like, she shouldn't be apologetic at all, right?
No, not at all. Because it's not like you did a model search and got signed to the WWE off a contract having never watched a wrestling match. You were a gymnast. You had some athletic ability. Somebody suggested you go to a show. Then you went to the training school. You got trained, and then you started wrestling. You did everything in the right order. You just never happened to watch wrestling. There's actors, and I hate the comparison, but there's actors that never watched a soap opera that make millions of dollars being on soap operas.
Yeah, that's true.
So I don't think you owe anyone an apology. And, if you've obviously never seen anything that's really inspired you to go back and watch a match, but you follow the current product and you love what you're doing. Like, you're getting to do, how much traveling outside of the Northeast in the U.S. have you done? Anything?
Oh, yeah, I've been to California, Florida, North Carolina a lot. This weekend I'm going to New Jersey on Thursday, and then I have to go to Chicago on Saturday. Yeah.
So that's pretty, like, you get to see the whole country and now the world.
Yeah. I've been to Canada a few times. So I'm definitely traveling a lot. I don't plan out my weekends, like, organized, so I'm like, oh, I'm in New England for this whole weekend, and then I go to the Midwest this whole weekend. It's just like, okay, I'm going to go to New England, and then, like, Massachusetts Friday, then I'm going to go to Chicago Saturday. Sunday I'll be in New Jersey, and then it's like, I don't plan ahead. I just say yes, 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 and then I'm like, well, I'm not sleeping. Okay.
I got to know what does the family think about where you're at and what you're doing right now, and just how quickly you've gotten to where you're at and been able to travel and do what you're doing now. What are their thoughts?
They love it. They are super, super supportive of me, and they just want me to go as far as I can and do everything that I can with it.
Do you have goals for yourself at this point in wrestling?
Nope, I have zero goals because I don't know. I don't know what I want. I just want to, I guess, make wrestling better.
Oh my God,
That's
thank you.
Good
Thank
enough
you.
for us. That works.
Yeah.
Like that's it. Just one sentence. That short-term goal, long-term goal. That's everything covered in one sentence. JP.
Make wrestling
Kris Statlander
better.
just wants to make wrestling better.
You need to make wrestling great again hats.
Yes.
You know, I started saying thing that is kind of similar, where I say like everything I do is for the greater good.
Okay. Of mankind or of the galaxy?
Everything. For the greater good of everything.
Okay. Now,
when does this, Kris? When does this become? And you're on that journey right now. Like, is it hitting you when you wake up? Like, this is what I'm doing. This is my life now. Like, this is legitimately my life, and it's only going to get. I don't want to say worse, but it's only going to get a little bit more busier, and the time is going to be a lot more valuable. Do you look at it at that aspect right now, or is it just a day-by-day thing for you?
I mean, it's both. It's definitely a day-by-day thing because I have to make sure I know what I'm doing every single day. But it's also like, you know, if I do get a day off, I'm just like, oh my God, what am this is my life. I'm like, it doesn't seem like a big deal to me because as a wrestler, like I was kind of made aware that this is what's going to happen. So I knew like something like this would happen. So I was mentally prepared for it. And you know, it's like what you expect after a while. Like, okay, yeah, I'm obviously going to start traveling. People are going to want to see me all over eventually. So, you know, you're going to have to go all over to like really pursue this if this is really what you plan on doing. And I've just kind of accepted it as this is just what the job is, and I'm just here to do my job, you know?
Do you think that, I'm going to follow up, JP, do you think not only the physical preparation and the time spent in gymnastics, but the mental part of the gymnastics, do you think that prepares you more than the physical part for what you're doing now?
Maybe. The mental part of gymnastics is to just kind of like never give up, and it's like, you know, if you don't work hard and try hard, you're never going to get better. When it comes to stunt double training, that I feel like that probably mentally prepared me a lot more for wrestling, because it was like, you know, don't think, just do. Your body knows what you're doing. You've trained your body to know what you're doing and to trust yourself. So just go out there and do it. Don't think about it.
And you definitely, like, the stunt double training is a lot of the stuff along the same ideas as pro wrestling.
Absolutely not. Stunt doubling is way safer than pro wrestling.
Okay.
That's OSHA stuff there, I think, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, as far as, like, you get not so much what you're landing on, but the actual style of it.
No, it's always safer.
Really? Okay.
But see, what you can do is you can, like, with all these outfits and everything that you wear, you can sneak, like, a whole bunch of, like, full-body padding in there. I've been on fire 3 times, so nothing happened. So
okay.
I've been hit by cars. You get, like, you do the things where it's, like, if you see in a movie when there's, like, an explosion and you see someone, like, get flown back, we've done that. Even fight scenes and everything too, like you're not touching each other in stunt fight scenes. So.
That much I knew.
Yeah.
About the fight scenes.
The choreography, is that what you're talking more along the lines of, JP? As far as
I mean, like the way you fall, is it similar to taking a bump, that type of thing?
Gotcha.
As far as
not.
Okay. That the whole stunt double thing threw me off. I had read up, you know, and I've watched it. I've been at a few Beyond shows and stuff like that. So, I'm a fan, but the whole being a stunt double threw me off, and that's fascinating to me.
Yeah.
Now, do you read comics? I know that seems real random. I'm going to explain why I asked in a second.
No, I don't read comics. I do very much enjoy like comic movies though.
Okay.
Like I think like for my biggest goal when it comes to stunts is I always wanted to be the stunt double for the lead actress in a superhero movie or something like that. Like that's what I really wanted to do because I love superhero movies.
Okay.
You still got lots of time. Yeah,
that's There's an independent comic book out there that we've talked to them in the past, Invasion from Planet WrestleTopia, and it's basically there's a planet out there in the galaxy, WrestleTopia, that they were able to catch our broadcast TV, but it takes about 20 years to travel to them, and they see a wrestler in the 80s challenge anyone in the galaxy. And they wind up coming in and they build a whole steel cage around planet Earth, and they start just trying to fight everybody. It's kind of interesting.
Were you trying to get to the? Were you trying to get to the question, JP? Were you trying to ask if she's from planet WrestleTopia?
Yes.
Okay.
No. I'm not from WrestleTopia.
What planet are you from?
So I just said from the Andromeda galaxy. I don't specify which planet because I don't want people to know which one it is.
Okay.
Take over my planet. So it's from the Andromeda galaxy. That's all I'll say.
How close are our science fiction movies like Star Wars and Star Trek to reality on the other planets?
I'm not going to tell you.
There
That's
you
classified, bro.
Yeah.
You go up there and figure it out yourself, okay?
I have to ask. I don't get. It's not often I get to talk to an actual alien, so I do have to ask.
Yeah.
Now,
well, it's not often I get to talk to smart humans, so.
And you still don't.
Yeah. Look at us.
We're not even smart marks.
Where's the most unique? I know I've seen you. JP said we've seen you on the beach. I think a couple weeks ago I saw you on a dock wrestling somewhere.
Yeah, that was another beach type thing, but yeah, I did take a human into the water with me, so.
Yeah.
Was that AG show?
It was the what was it called? It was the Suck Me Crew show.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That one, yeah.
It was good. It was good stuff.
It was called Rumble on the Docks. That's what it was.
Okay.
Yeah. There was no ring involved. It was just go out there, have fun. I don't know.
Really?
How are you? You've been booked on a couple GCW shows recently, right?
Just the one, I think.
Okay. The only reason I ask is the atmosphere there a little bit different than most places when you get there?
To GCW?
Yes.
What do you mean? Like as far as being in a ring or like in the locker room?
Just overall atmosphere, like the fans and going there. I mean, because I know Beyond is WSU, Beyond, Chaotic, a lot of those places. And when you talk about a GCW show or even West Coast, I guess can you tell a difference between different places when you go there and just the energy being the alien that you are? Or is it just another wrestling show?
In a way, it's just another wrestling show to me because, like I was saying, it's just my job and I'm just doing what I'm doing. But I know, like, the GCW show I did in Los Angeles, that was my first time wrestling in California, and the reactions I got just from being there was insane to me. Like, the fact that people knew who I was. Anytime I make a debut and people know who I am already, it's still surreal to me. I'm just like, you know me? Cause
I think
never know.
And that's the route I think I was getting to. Is it getting, I don't know if it ever gets a little bit more familiar, but is it getting to the point where you're like, wow, people know me. Like, people know who I am.
It's, I don't think I'll ever get used to it, to people knowing who I am.
No.
Is it an uncomfortable thing? I mean, is it uncomfortable?
So the way I see it is, like, they all know and love alien Kris Statlander. They don't know human form Kris Statlander. So there's a somewhat difference with that.
And I think
that gives me comfort in knowing that, like, they'll never know all of me.
I think that's the key. And JP and I talked about this before, but like Mercedes went through the same thing. I mean, with Sasha, she had to take a break because there wasn't a line between Mercedes and Sasha. It became she became Sasha, and it wasn't a good thing. And I think that you have that ability now to do that, and know that there's parts of you that you should always hold back. I think is a cool thing. That's another unique thing that you don't necessarily get taught in the business, but you've got that solid ground, and I think it's you keep the alien, and you keep the human. I think that's a really good thing.
Yeah, we can't let the streams cross. You know what happens.
Now, when you came to Earth, what was your intention?
To take over the world. What else would it be?
It's like Invader Zim.
Well, I mean, I don't know because, I'm assuming some, aliens might want to come and be friends. Some like you seem like you're a friendly alien. So if you took over the world, it might not be a horrible thing.
Well, tell the rest of the world that. You let them know.
Well,
I think she's doing that already on her own. I think she's doing a good enough job spreading the word.
Yeah, you really are telling the world. And you are taking...
Everyone else how friendly I am, and then maybe they'll all agree, and then let me just take over nice and easily.
You are taking over the world on your own, and you're doing a hell of a job with it.
Well, thank you.
So...
What are your... I got to know, like, some of influences... I mean, obviously, your pro wrestling has never really been one of those things that you've ever really been interested in. It's your job and what you're doing now. It's your profession. What are some of your inspirations? People that have inspired you to be who you are right now.
I have no idea. I guess I'm my own inspiration. But like in a way, also like there are so many people on top of like Pat Buck and Kurt Hawkins, my head trainers. There's been so many people at Create a Pro that have helped me become who I am, be comfortable with who I am, and have really made me turn it up a notch with what I do, and like refuse to settle for anything less than the best from me. So I'd say like people who have helped me inspire me, because I would love to be able to give that back to someone, what they've done for me.
Now, do those guys, like Kurt and Pat, do they still sort of follow your career and give you advice?
Oh yeah, they're always around. They're always watching. They're mom and dad.
That's pretty cool because they're both at this point WWE employees.
Yeah. Yes.
So that's pretty cool to have that. Like most people. Well,
JP will test to this. Like Zack Ryder and Kurt Hawkins is almost my favorite tag team ever.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things. Like Zack Ryder with the Intercontinental Championship belts, like that. I just want him to hold it forever. It's one of those things. It's those guys and the rawness and the realness that they bring, I think, is what's so freaking cool about them. They're just raw and they're real.
Yeah.
It is. They're fun to watch. But I mean, I'm sure because when you got guys like that, most training schools, other than Create a Pro and Booker T's got his school still. There's no schools run by current WWE contracted wrestlers.
Yeah.
It might have been guys who were 10 years ago, 20 years ago, whatever, or guys who never were but maybe know how to train and teach. So did that come into play when you were picking your school?
No. Because, again, I didn't know anything about wrestling. So I just kind of looked for the closest school to me, and Create a Pro was there. And it was just a match made in heaven.
JP, we're trying to do this interview like she actually... This is so cool. Like, this is just... You were asking the whole question. In my mind, I'm sitting there going, she probably doesn't give two shits. Like, really, I bet she just picked the school and went.
That's
yep.
Like, so it was sort of luck of the
That's
draw.
what happened.
Because you look at
who's come
out of Create a Pro, yourself, One at Josh, another one of your favorites, MJF.
Yeah, MJF.
You know, there's so much talent that's come out of there, and that's gonna come out of there.
Yeah.
Now, who were you?
The best part about that, like, everyone who helps out there just cares so much about, not just teaching people how to wrestle, but making sure they're wrestling well and being easy to work with and have good attitudes and stuff like that. And you hear so much about, like, so much drama going on in so many places, and Creator Pro is just like one giant, like, brotherhood. I know I'm a girl, but, like, it's a brotherhood. It's multiple. It's a brotherhood.
So,
and it's like the best. It's like the first time I felt like it was like a home away from home.
we had a guy on last week who you've probably never heard of, Barry Horowitz, but he was a jobber in the 80s and 90s, literally with the WWF for over 10 years. And he was saying
I've
how...
actually heard of him. I don't know much. I've heard the name before, though.
What he said about women's wrestling now is that you can tell that these girls train with the guys. So you are a bro, as far as that's concerned. Like, back in the day, it was separate. It was very segregated. Girls didn't train with the guys because they wrestled a different style. Now they don't. Now you don't wrestle a different style. I'm not a fan of intergender matches myself.
Dumb.
But
Dumb.
but I admit, like, when I watch a match, an intergender match, and I think you girls have the hardest part of that, and make me realize I'm not watching an intergender match, I'm just watching a wrestling match, then I can enjoy it. And I think you do that. I think Jordan Grace does that. And
Solo Darling does it.
Yeah.
Tessa does it.
Yeah.
So, like, what you were saying about, like, with the girls have to train with the girls and the guys have to train with the guys, for the majority of my, like, initial training at Creator Pro, I was the only girl there. So I had no option to train with girls.
And they didn't treat you any different, did they? Like, it had no bearing on anything. If anything, they probably dogged you a little bit more.
Not really. So there's always, like, there's certain ways of doing certain moves and whatnot. They'd be like, oh yes, this is like the normal way of learning this, but there's also like the the quote unquote girl version of doing it. And I was just like, man, I'm not doing that. Are you kidding me? I'm not putting myself at a lower tier already. So that's also me just being like, no, I got it. Don't worry.
Now, do you having not been a wrestling fan, is there a match out there with anybody that you want to have that you just know you'd have a good time with in the ring and have a fun match?
There's not, like, I just want to wrestle everyone. There's so many different people out there, different styles. I've made so many friends in wrestling. I'd love to be able to work with all my friends. It's not ever like I feel bad because I don't really ever have, like, dream matches that I would love to have, but it's like, I just want to do everything and work with everyone because why not?
Well, that's why you're in New England one day and Chicago the next, because you're saying yes to every match out there.
Yeah.
But at the same point, I think that's good because that doesn't like oversaturate you when you kind of travel like that. So, you can work New England every day and hit ABC one day, DEF company the next, GHI, and I'm pretty sure those are all real companies up here in Massachusetts. Like, you could hit all of them in a week period, but you're going to see all the same fans every time.
Yeah.
So if you travel and you're in California, you're in Chicago, you're in Florida, you're in New York, New Jersey, upstate New York, in all those areas, you're going to see, you might see one or two of the same fans every day, but you're also going to see mostly a house of different people.
Exactly, yeah. Like, for the fact that I live in New York and I maybe wrestle in New York, like, once every other month, it's insane.
That is cool. It's a lot of driving.
Yeah, but I don't mind it. You get used to it, so.
Do you have traveling partners?
Depends on where I am and where I'm going. But,
Okay.
Yeah, there's always big people for certain areas that I go.
Any fun road stories yet?
Not really.
No.
I'm not like there hasn't been anything like super, super wild that'd be worth telling you. It's mostly just like us berating someone that we're in the car with for the entire trip. But that's it.
Okay. As long as it's not you getting berated, that's a good thing.
Oh, no. That will never happen. They know better.
Do you prefer to drive or ride passenger?
So a lot of times I prefer to drive because I like having my car there. But if I'm not the one driving, then I want to be passed out in the back.
Okay.
That's me.
Both of those things make sure you're not the one getting berated.
Exactly.
You're not going to get berated when you're sleeping, and you're sure as hell not going to berate the driver. So that's kind of smart planning.
I want the car right off the road. They don't mess around.
Are you a gamer, Kris? Like, is it your generation seems to game a lot? Do you game?
Video games? No. That is my sister. She's a video game person.
Got you. So I mean, is she your older sister?
Yeah, she's older than me.
Yeah, those ones are always the weird ones like me. We're the weirder ones.
Well, you could say that, but then here I am dressing up as an alien and wrestling.
What do you mean dressing? What do you mean dressing up?
I mean, I'm morphing into alien form. My bad.
We're such assholes.
Well, no, because we've done I've told you before, like we could have gone either way with this, and I think people understand the gist of things at this point. As I'm sitting here wearing a green ant shirt.
Hey, if they don't, just keep your mouth shut, all right?
Exactly.
That's right.
Listen, I'm a big proponent of that. Now, have you wrestled for Chikara before, or is Trios your first time?
This is my first time wrestling for Chikara.
You realize it's not going to be your last time, right?
We don't know. Expect the unexpected.
I am telling you.
No, this is the perfect place for. Oh my God.
You are a Chikara wrestler.
I am an alien wrestler.
You're an alien wrestler that will fit. Like you're gonna fit so well in there, in the ring with all of their they're all outlandish personalities, and it's cool. It's very character based. It's just so fun. Like that's the stuff I love. I'm sitting here wearing a Green Ant shirt now, and you're gonna have a blast with that.
I just think it's cooler than. I think it's just cool shit that she's hanging out with Anthony. Went to school with Maxwell. Hanging out with the dirty man, Dickinson. Yep. I mean, there's
Josh Briggs.
Yeah, there's just some really good people around you, not only at the school, but the people that you're with right now, and it just elevates the game.
And so those guys are all top tier, hands down, and you're in that tier. Like you're hanging with those guys, like you're with those guys on so many shows for a reason, because you belong on those shows.
Yeah, well, thank you. That really does mean a lot to me hearing that.
What do you have coming up for dates? Like we just talked about King of Trios, which is the weekend of October 4th, 5th, and 6th. You're in London. What part of the UK are you in tomorrow?
I'll be in Manchester.
So you're in England tomorrow. What else do you got coming up?
I have a show in New Jersey, the Wrestle Pro Shotgun Thursday night show this Thursday. I'm wrestling Dan Moff.
Oh, nice. What?
Yeah,
on Saturday, I have AAW in Chicago.
That's Sammy Callahan's area.
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. I know this is like this shit that she's doing right now. That's the groove, JP. Like that's it. Like she's hitting them all.
Yeah.
AEW, Chikara. I mean, she's going over to the UK, and it's just wait till Defy and PCW come along. That's even gonna be more fun. If you're hanging out with fucking Dan Moff right now, it's just gonna happen.
Japan.
Right. I'm excited. I'm excited, Kris. Are you?
You are by far Japan early 2020. You're Japan bound. I'm calling that now. Some point in 2020, You're Japan bound. I'm calling that now on the air. Hold me to that.
Yeah, thank you.
Have you given that thought, Kris? Like, have you said, like, if that offer comes up to where
she has no idea what wrestling in Japan means?
I know, but what I'm saying is, like, how do you who plans that for you? Like, somebody says, you know, if Kurt comes up and says, "Hey, we want you to go spend 2 weeks over at Stardom, or 2 months over at Stardom, or we want you to go over to 01 and hang out at a dojo," do you just go? Like, if they say, "Hey, this is what's up next," do you just go?
Yeah, I don't know. If that's what people are asking me to do and I'm available to do it, then sure, yeah, I'll do it. I don't know.
Just hop in the spaceship and go, huh?
Just gotta go with the flow. Go with the flow.
I can honestly say this, JP. Like, I've been excited for people, right? Like, I've been excited for them to go. Anthony, for one, like he's you know,
talking about Anthony Green, of course.
Yeah, Drew Gulak is another one. Like,
well.
It's just for me to sit here and like we've done our research, Kris, and we know a few things, but we were like, where did there is not a pro wrestling bone in your body besides what you're building, and I think that's what is so unique and what you're going to bring to pro wrestling that it needs is that breath of fresh air. That's not the same old script, man. Right, JP?
Yeah, and the other thing is, like, there's so many people that go to wrestling school and just don't have, and I'm not going to name any names, but there's just people that go to wrestling school and don't necessarily have an athletic bone in their body. But it's all that they wanted, and they think they have to do it, and they don't realize that there's other parts of pro wrestling that they could do. And you come in and you just have this natural ability. And I'm sure you worked hard to get it to make it look like a natural ability. But like your training, your whole background kind of led to this without you knowing it. And I think that's really cool.
Yeah, I somehow designed myself to be a pro wrestler, and I didn't even know it. So.
Yeah, I mean, you really did set yourself up for this. And I'm glad it's at a point where you don't have to necessarily be under contract to sort of make a career out of it now.
Yeah.
Who establishes, like, Kris, who establishes where you get booked and what you do? Is that your ultimate decision? Do you decide where, when, and how?
Yeah. I mean, it also, it's like, you know, if the company wants to bring me in, I'm not just going to be like, hey, put me on your show. I'm coming. So, if they have to, and then I wrestle. There you go.
Now, how long after you started training did they come to you and say, hey, you're ready, your show ready?
Well, so I started my training in March of 2016. I debuted for my school shows November of 2016. Wow. And in that time, in June of 2016, I broke my heel, so I was out for 2 months. So, yeah, I don't know that's, but...
March, April, May, and then you're out June and July. So really, like...
Actually, it was the end of June. So March, April, May, June, most of June training. So like July and August I was out. Came back, or I went back to training the day after I got my cast off. And then that was like probably the first week of September. And then I debuted in November.
That's
what they call mental acuity.
Yeah. That's not a very long time. I'm sure to you it probably seemed like it was ages and years at the time, but that's really not that long. Now, were you also doing shows as a manager at the time? I know you said you kind of managed that before you went to the school.
Yeah, I was doing those shows still.
Now, who were you managing? Was it just people up in that New York, New Jersey?
It was people. I don't think you wouldn't probably know them, but you might actually. Do you know Steve Gibkey?
I've heard the name.
Muscle.
Okay.
They were a different team. Him and Tony Vincita. They were a different team name called the Down Boys, but they were the guys that I was managing.
Okay. I used to make the trips to New York and New Jersey with a few of my buddies who were like referees or talent on the shows, and but that was we're going back like 10, 15 years, and the difference, and you can probably attest to this now, the difference between wrestling in New York, New Jersey, New England, like everywhere kind of has its own style. How do you adapt as you're going into a new territory?
I just do my thing because I don't have a specific style. I'd like to adapt to what I'm doing with or who I'm in the ring with, where I am. I just kind of see what they do, and I kind of base what I do off of them and put my own little twist on there.
Now, as an alien, do you have any superpowers?
I'm not going to tell you.
If you did,
in time, JP, you'll see them.
But if you did, do you feel like it would be breaking the rules to use them in a wrestling match? I'm not asking if you've ever used them or if you would use them, just if you think it would give you too much of an edge.
Do you have a High Spots account?
Yes.
The High Spots Wrestling Network?
Yep.
So this should be up. There should be a match up there. It's me versus Clara Sinclair. I think it's called Stone Cold Queens. It's from Queens of Combat. Her thing that she did is like she's the last Jedi of professional wrestling, and we did the entire match only using the Force on each other. And it was 3:16 day, so the finish was a Force stunner, and the only time we touched each other was for the final pin.
That is your JP. That's your dream match. That is your dream match, JP.
That is awesome, and I am going to go and find that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So look up if you can find. It's me and Clara Sinclair. It's the only match where she and I is our only ever match, and we use the entire match using not touching each other at all.
And that's on the High Spots Network?
It should be, yeah.
Now,
JP, we've been going for an hour. We're gonna edit this out, but she's got to get ready for the UK, I'm sure too. But I'm like, Kris, we could literally, we could sit here and pick your brain all night because JP is fascinated. I can see his wheels turning right now.
We've never done an interview quite like this. Never with an alien.
I know. Let it go with the flow because I can't tell you what there is and what there's not because like I said, I don't know.
That's not wrong. That's totally right if you ask me.
Where can people find you online?
So Twitter and Instagram are both at Call Me Kris Stat.
What about like What about a UF Facebook type of thing? UFO Facebook.
I have a personal Facebook, but they're not allowed to see that.
Is there stuff? I mean, outer galaxy stuff. Is there stuff like that's the World Wide Web? Is there a World Okay, there's no World Galaxy Web we can give out.
There's no alien Facebook page. No.
She can't tell you, JP, even if there was. That's the whole thing. You keep asking these questions and you keep getting the same answer, no matter what question you ask her. It's the same answer.
I'm hoping I'll slip her up and she'll answer one of them we can get some.
She's too good for you. She's too good.
These idiots raided Area 51 where we could just ask an alien questions.
I know, and that's why they're idiots. Because we got the real alien here, and they just could have figured it out. But you keep digging, and she keeps giving you the same answer.
Does. She definitely outsmarted me. And that's not hard to do.
See what you're doing. I'm catching on, don't worry.
Kris, thank you so much for taking the time out. I'm sure you probably got if you're anything like me and you got a flight coming up tonight, you probably have to do all your packing right now, so we won't hold you up anymore.
No, well, thank you for having me. It was a lot of fun.
You bet, Kris. Is there I just want to wish you the best of luck, and like JP said, if that opportunity comes up in Japan, I am so looking forward to having a chance to sit down and talk to you about that experience if you get it, which I'm sure you probably will. But yeah, again, thank you so much for taking the time, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate having our first alien on the show and a refreshing view for once, JP.
This will come out This will probably come out right around the King of Trios too. By the time we put this up, so guys, make sure you check that out in the Philly area. I don't think there's a company that's any more fun to watch than Chikara. King of Trios is their major weekend.
Yeah, shout out to Philly. That's number 4 on our download list. So Philly is one of our fans.
That's
all right. Let's let her go, JP.
Yep. Thank you, Kris.
All right. Thank you, guys.
All right. Well.